Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
In terms of clock time, something has changed. The sky became dark, the moon has arisen, all these things and so on. But are these significant observations? Do they have any impact upon that? Has there been any significant or meaningful change? Is it subject to time? So many movements may have taken place in the realm of the body-mind. Has it affected that? Does this have to move over for some play or movement occurring from the body-mind area? Can this be eclipsed? By what and for whom? Or does the energy of the mind flow, which obviously includes the identity, personal identity, comes with such force that it is able to somehow affect this? Just a few hours has elapsed. Some changes may occur, like in the body. Maybe there could be some sort of physiological movement or something. But would you care to report such a thing? We look at the sky, and so many different things, so many different changes could occur in the sky. But does the sky report these changes? And who is affected by them? It seems like somehow we can say that we are kind of three-tier or three-layered being. The physical aspect, the mental or psychological aspect, and our spiritual being. The physical aspect also produces a lot of shit, actually. The mental aspect produces shit also. Only the pure self is shitless, basically, or maybe shit free. So which one are you? One should remain in one's undefiled being, meaning that which is unstained by any movement. This is spiritual talk. This is talk. One should stay means that one who is still unclear as to their identity and the true state or the nature of the self can take the instruction. One should stay in and as one's undefiled being, because for that itself, it doesn't know any instruction. It is that. So we are this. How did the we come about? All of this is about the state of the subject, the perceiver, the ultimate perceiver, that which perceives even perception, or the functioning of perception. Or that to whom perception occur, but itself is unaffected by them in the purest sense. If you are following rightly, whatever I say, you should be paying attention to that doesn't move at all. The I feeling, the root feeling of mind also. The I generally is a chameleon. It changes color. At what point is it without these changes and remain unaffected by the changeful aspects? You may say that which is unchanging cannot be referred to as I. What notices this? You can say it's option. It's an option. You can say it is an I, but this I doesn't come with any qualitative differences or functioning. You can say like this, but you will determine the the purity or the impurity of I. If you say actually the sense I can be used even to denote the absolute, then it's you who determine that, and you create this, you give it that power. If you say no, the I is only a chameleon because it is watched and observed to change, it is always changing. What observes this change? Is it I-less? Then you will determine if this is true or not. That which is does not need to really contemplate. You can consider that because even your common name given by your parents, which is not original, you were there before the name came. And you don't have to contemplate your name. You don't have to sit around thinking, ah yes, I am MooJi, I am MooJi. You don't have to do that. It's just naturally awareness is there. So why should you have to contemplate, I am the self, I am the beingness, I am the self? Unless there was some doubt. But this doubt has to be removed through pure knowledge and pure insight. You cannot just assume, it cannot just be denied, oh there's no such thing, there's no such thing. No, it has to be seen and proven. Because when you prove something, you don't have to keep on repeating it, there's no such thing, there's no such thing. You just simply know. Does this knowledge and these words feel way above your head? I want to know. No.
MooJi? Who's vigilant? I think between the two times, I'd say that there was no change. Yet what I did notice is that there was a vigilance, which now would seem almost noisy because it's not necessary. But I just.
Yes, well, the vigilance must come in because it is still somehow maybe the intellectual aspect of the being must carry out that instruction, because as long as we have the taste of duality in us, there is the functioning of complacency or vigilance. These are also factors that can be stimulated, no, in the beingness. Before this, our normal state may be a kind of complacent, docile sort of state, but because actively something compelled the attention and drove it back into its origin, into that silence, and did it in an easy way. In fact, in an easy way, then it was felt, whoa, but here I am. It did it in an easy way. You can do it in a hard way. You can look into many surfaces can reflect, can reflect, give you a reflection. No? Many things you can look in can give you a reflection, but nothing gives you as pure reflection as a mirror. You understand? So many things you can reflect, even the surface of a stone, or even a polished leaf, or even your shoe polishing, and so you can give a reflection. But nothing gives us pure reflection as a mirror. The mirror doesn't have any secrets, no distortion, pure reflection. So this exercise I gave you was like a pure reflection. It didn't take any sweaty exercises. Somehow something just followed and allowed pure seeing to come into its own, let's say like this. And then there is no effort there, because quickly there was not even a journey that ordinarily the mind conceive of, this return to self as a kind of journey that has been spoken about in terms of lifetime and deep practices and austerities and so on. But somehow you're here, and it must be that there is some competence inside the being to come to that state very easily. Now, that competence could be the fact that you've been listening for a while and hearing, and somehow your consciousness has become more pliable, more soft. It's got less static or interference from the egoic mind. So you can allow the space to allow that movement to occur so quickly. And quickly one comes into this kind of recognition, this seeing, and oh, but there's nothing here. This is the mirror of the inquiry, in fact. Then you're asked, report from your own experience now. not what you read in some book or what you heard about. Now from you are that now. Not only I am in that, I am experiencing that. You are that. Where is the duality? Now speak from that experience, from that seeing. Then you say, well, this cannot fade. This cannot, time cannot affect this. Otherness cannot affect it because those belong to another department, another realm. You see. They are not troubling this one.
MooJi, for me it even feels like a trinity. So since we made that exercise, there's something sensed which I could say is the mindless state or the timeless. And then after a while, for some reason, even intentionally, the functional mind was starting up again. But that which I spoke first about was not affected by that. And both of them are kind of sensed at the same time.
Yes. The other one you know, the functioning mind you know. What you have not grasped until now is the unchanging self. We've heard about it, we've aimed at it, and so on. So now we are in direct self-perception, if you want to say like this, that there is that. Where's the distance to that? Then you say, well, it doesn't involve distance actually, because there's no separation. So now you're confirming from this. Now you say, but actually that is there, but simultaneously the functioning mind is there and awareness of the functioning mind is there. Then also you can say that, okay, but actually now comes the play of memory that also can be seen, but they're all movements against this background which is not changing. That's fine. In the realm of what is changeful, let's see if anything arises that carries so much sucking power, so much magnetism, that attention and belief is sucked out from the base and energizes those movements so much that they effectively create a kind of screen, a kind of psychic screen, whereby the self feels lost to itself. We're wondering if this can happen. And I'm waiting to see, checking in from time to time to see, can this happen, you see? What is able to overwhelm that? Is it possible? Then we're not talking now theoretically or mentally. We're using your experience. Say from here, maybe I would like to bring on and try it out to see if there's something, maybe favorite subjects, family, my mother maybe, or something. The doctor says something very strong to you, and whether the power of that news or that hearing is enough to cancel out.
MooJi, can I say something?
Yes.
Because I feel it's a very important point about the checking in. That for me, it's not only directly checking in as you, MooJi, this body. It's through everything that happens here. You're checking in for me.
Yeah.
Even if it's one of my Sangha friends, just checking in if some ego is still there to arise, or like this.
Yes. Subtle taste, the whisper, the wind of ego may come also. But you're taking the darshan of your own self. Now the egoic tendencies can push up, but they cannot proliferate, sprout, or dominate. Or let's see. As soon as something sprouts, how can the ego be strong? It's not strong by itself. As I said before, it doesn't have, internal strength. It only has the strength of belief. It runs on a kind of phantom power, meaning that it has no power of its own. It's a kind of parasite. It has to grow from your power, isn't it? Now, it may not seem like that, because it seems like this thing is acting independently of your power. It's a bit of a muddle. You don't have to go into that. There's still the untouched. Stay into the untouched. Now, if this conversation is going on, it means, to whom am I conversing with? It must be somehow the intelligence of the being. Can understanding take place in there? And somehow harmony is restored or recognized again, and that becomes the prevailing truth. In a fraction of a second, as we speak, as we listen. This is the sadhana in its highest expression. As it is spoken, the consciousness super speed is able to understand, comprehend, and in understanding that, all things are set right. I would like to see it like this, that one who really has stabilized somehow in that understanding. You should be able to lead a satsang, why not? I like to sit and watch. It comes from there, you come from there. There's no gimmick, you can see. There's no rehearsal, there's no preparation needed. No preparation needed. Spontaneously. Because can you imagine if your life is not even spontaneous? I mean, everything you do is from the past. Everything you do, you have to check in with the past, what I did before. Like, you cannot be fresh. You're called upon to do something, and you have to rehearse. And everything is being tested here. Even yesterday, we were playfully. We say, okay, let's do a catwalk. Some people hiding. Why? It's a bit of fun. Why? The ego doesn't want to be foolish. Well, the ego is a damn fool in the first place. Just doesn't want to be known to be a fool. It was something playful, no? But oh no, not me. What is that? So sometimes little things like that, it just cause you in the moment. Then be a fool, even if it looks. Sometimes life will push you into a state where you are acutely self-conscious, and it will be painful, but it will be burning something. It burns something. And surrender to that burning. Don't be so precious to yourself. Surrender to that burning. Do it all in the name of Shiva. Do it all in the name of the Lord. Do it all in the name of the Self. Do it all in the name of truth. Burn. Say, I take your name and burn in you. Now we're here. We're not talking about yesterday, tomorrow, 2 hours ago. We're just here. What do we need to talk about if we're only here? Not a history class. We're not doing weather forecasts. We're just here. What belongs only to here now? I'm not talking about the clock now, but to now. Even nothing belongs to now. And now belongs to nothing.
MooJi, when two people talk, it seems so quickly a sense of I comes in.
I is necessary to be used because it's merely language. If you see it as just really, the appropriateness of dualistic functioning, which is natural, because we have to communicate, and the root of communication is the feeling of I, it doesn't mean that everything you speak means nonsense. It is you who will determine whether what is spoken is nonsense or is scriptural even. Depending on where your I comes from. If your I is coming merely from the muddy waters of the ego mind, then you can say, after 3 hours of talking, everybody wants to sleep. We're not energized at all. We're not made empty. I feel that conversations to take you back to yourself, remind you of the self. They make you empty. You start full, you come empty. You don't start empty and become full.
So when someone asks, "What's your opinion on this?" It's just a choice of opinion. It's not really you.
No, it depends. This is where your maturity will prove you, because any number of people can ask you anything from anywhere. Why would you answer some and not others? I'll tell you, because energetically, if you are true in yourself, then actually your life is an energetic expression. You sense when there's nothing coming to answer this questioner. It's a fool's question. Even you speak, nothing is heard. Nothing is understood. You see? The only good use of this is to know that there's nothing there. There's nothing of value there. So in your own polite way, you say, actually, nothing to say, no comment about that. I'm sorry, I don't feel anything. You don't have to insult them. Maybe it's enough to just say, well, I'm sorry, I don't feel nothing from your question. That's enough to set a few on fire. I remember a few occasions when people would ask, I don't know why they asked some questions, and I could just sigh, It just came, not intentionally, but something just, and my God, they were completely burnt up, because it was just like, what a burden, but you don't say anything at all. I just felt, you cannot say. Sometimes you feel if you have too much respect for ego, you feel compelled to give an answer or something like that. But energetically, you know that this person is not even to appreciate even. They don't even remember what they asked you. And then you're returning some great speech to them. And why don't we right now just change the whole world now? You can do it. You can put a stop to a whole heap, you can wipe galaxies of nonsense away. Why accept such small talk? Just finish it. Finish with it. Be as though what you have understood and seen is already true. Listen as though the words you hear in your heart are already yours, not mine. Stop thinking about tomorrow. It doesn't belong to you. If you had to be total now, right now, what would you have to do? What would you have to do? What is missing? What would you have to do? I really would like to hear something. What do you think you would have to do? I don't know, if I even asked you to go into your handbag and throw every single thing away one by one, would you even be able to do it? Your handbag you carry around with you. Go in and take each thing out and throw it away. Whatever you found, throw it away. Could you do it? We say nothing matters. Okay, go and do it. Take your passport, throw it in the fire, throw the bloody thing away. The license, the stuff, burn your clothes, not just your bra. Burn every bloody thing. Could you do it if you had to do it? Would it be easy, like nothing? Actually, it's not that difficult. As if that is that important. It can be just an exercise. I don't know how long the exercise would last, but because we can always replace these things.
It's an exercise.
I can do it because you have duplicates of everything you have. But really, don't so glibly say, "Oh yeah, I'll do." I would like to see that we really check and see that. But it's not that any of these things is going to be asked of you. I only do it as a kind of mental exercise, sort of something. I have to go and physically do it. I don't think these things stand in the way. It's the attachment to them, maybe. That maybe if that could be casted off, that is something. But I don't even want to stop very long there. Not at that bus stop. I don't want to stop there. I want to go someplace much, much easier than that. Yeah. What do you have to get rid of to be? Because if we say any of these things, you have to kind of wait to do something. I don't want to put that condition because I don't think it matters, actually. One decision can override all of these things. And if it's a decision or it's a gesture of freedom, meaning that you're not stuck with these things. The things in themselves are not a problem. And this is not a kind of trick to say, I can be free and keep all my junk. I can be free and just keep all my bad habits, because guess what? They're not real. Because that would be a hypocrisy. Because somehow when you offer yourself out there, something is genuine in that. And what is not truth, what is not true, and still somehow stands in the way, will be alleviated by grace. But are you open for that? Because if you're not able, let's put it like that, to really be in full acceptance and direct experience of the truth that you are, it is because somehow we are giving value to something which is actually perishable, momentary. So these things have to be looked at, because they carry a certain noise, a certain distraction. And it would not be genuine and true to say, oh yeah, the distraction is only an illusion. That will not fool me like that. Because something is still in there. And although these things quite rightly are illusions in themselves, but they only continue to manifest because you have investment of energy in them. Because there's a lot of things in this planet that's not troubling you. Because why? You have no interest in them. There's a kind of superficial interest. I don't know, the workings of consciousness. I don't want to speak in an insulting way, because you can be doing whatever. You can be the shoemaker down the road or whatever it is. These are not anything at all. Consciousness doesn't upgrade itself by moving from a shoemaker to a dentist or something. So all these things are not really categories of consciousness. In everything it's equal. But maybe the spell for you is too strong. I don't know. Amazing that we speak like this, and yet the background is absolutely uninvolved. Absolutely still, absolutely untouched. And you're right, both appears to be there. If you can see both, who are you? Which one are you? Are you outside of that duality? Or are you speaking inside? Are you the in speaking?
Can I ask MooJi about this projection? Because it's like, on one side sometimes I can see it, on other side no matter I see it or not, it just goes on.
What goes on?
Projection. Because it's all on, it just goes on.
Not only that projection goes on, but the interest in perceiving it, the interest that's there that causes it to be perceived and recorded as a projection, that is more trouble also. The way they kind of work together. Not just the projection, the tendency to project can be watched, but also there's identifying with, you see, not just the one who projects, but what it's about and all of these things. You get invested in it. You're still taking these things to be important, and they're nothing. That would be to coming from a higher place in you to see that they're nothing. Not like a kind of mechanical mantra, they're nothing, but actually to see that they're nothing at all. Because 5 minutes ago, was this topic inside your mind? It may have been, I don't know. It simply sprouted inside the mind, and then somehow attention goes there, belief goes there, and for the duration that there is some connection with it, it seems to be alive. Then it will blow off and something else will replace it. So why give so much importance to that? Except if it's a practical thing you're doing, and you give importance to it only to slay it, to kind of to see through it and say, no, but this is nonsense. Or is it that you have got just kind of like a problematic mind, a problem-forming mind? Sometimes you just have a mind that just makes problems. Don't give yourself 5 minutes to enjoy your own little piece, for your mind engineers another problem. And you go about thinking, oh yes, I'm being hit by another one. But you create it. Your hand is turning the witch's ladle, fermenting your own sorrows. And this one who is going through episodes of grief, Olympic suffering, doesn't bloody exist even. So as you sit around listening, writing down the scores of how many hits you got, when they think, are you able to jump over that and to see, but wait a minute, what is that? It's just a portrait I've made of myself, and trying to breathing life into this portrait, this puppet. But of course, it seems ridiculous to take it so lightly when our whole lives we've been making this, creating these scenarios.
MooJi, I feel that the spell of the ignorance can only be broken in the presence of a guru that can allow you to go beyond what you believe. Do you understand? It's almost like a need of a guru for understanding of a permission to be. Because it's not that there is a habit of the suffering, but not because there is an enjoyment of it, but it's because it's full of ignorance and no permission to be different almost. So the presence of a guru that transcended all this give us all permission to just be.
And so actually takes you in by the hand into that itself, so that you can confirm what previously was only theoretical now becomes actual for you. And when something is actual, you cannot keep on denying it. And so you must face your own seeing. If there is sufficient ripeness and rarities, then something you read in a book could just trigger an in-plunging into that. But to continue to be immersed in it until the duality is thinned away, it takes guidance, it takes continuous monitoring to a point, because the ego is fighting for survival, so to speak. The thing is that we believe our minds, which is the field of illusions. And everything is a kind of illusion. But when illusions are identified with or believed in, then they become delusions. When you are deluded, it's very difficult to come out, because you believe in your delusions. They feel intimate. They seem to even behave as though they protect you. It is only this relationship with the mind, which is a force, a tremendous force inside. Mind is not evil by nature, but it comes into a new functioning when you have identity with what is limited. Then the mind functions in a different way, and it starts to work somehow to eat away at your projections, which it has to. Actually, you don't realize the mind is actually doing a beautiful job of exposing the lies. How much you are quick to purchase suggestions that move you experientially further away from your center to feel like that. You can listen to many things, do many things, somehow the body is doing and everything is happening, without you necessarily having any sense that you have deviated from the self. It doesn't have to be like that. You are the self, you are that. It's not a teaching only. It becomes your effortless experience. Well, we will see whether one night can remove your seeing.
Let's check tomorrow. Again, please.
We do this every day. That's why he's here.
Where does the intuition take place then?
Huh?
Where does the intuition take place?
Where does intuition take place? Intuition is a higher functioning, higher than thinking. Higher than thinking. But once you come into the thinking world and education and full investment in dualistic functioning, identity and all of that, it seems to stifle or suffocate your intuitive powers. It doesn't actually do anything to it directly. It's just like a veil comes over it, and you're not employing your intuitive function. I'm not even saying that you are employing them, because it's not you and them. It's you. Beautiful functioning that doesn't have to, rely on data, on past, on all of these things. Just intuitively. One senses in ways not brightly known by the mind. Just coming to know or sensing, where your powers of discernment are very, very acute, very sensitive, very high, where you don't have to use your mind in a tiresome way, but you cut through the dross and find always the core. People say, yes, I feel this thing in my heart, I feel this thing in my intuition, like this says this. But until you are clear as to your identity, your intuition may not be pure enough. You're still contaminated by other things, personal factors and so on. They discolor it. And so it's only on functioning maybe on very little. But when you are hungry, desperately, you're not interested in reading menus or making sure your knife and your fork is spotlessly clean. You don't need any serviettes. You don't need a table. I'm not saying that's the way to eat. But sometimes that's when you really value something, you really appreciate. I said at one time that when you are curious, when we are curious, we learn. When we are desperate, we discover. We can exchange the word desperate for when you are burning inside, that urge inside you is so single-minded. Then freedom cannot hide from you. You're going to meet your partner's parents today. There's an appointment. They're coming at 11 o'clock to visit you for the first time. You want to make a very good impression. But you are so nervous. You're full of shaking. And then what happens is that to try and calm yourself down, you take a few brandies to steady your nerves. And you have one too many. And then they call and they say, actually, we made the journey much earlier than we thought. Actually, we are just downstairs outside your door almost. We're coming. In 5 minutes, we are there. Then you say, oh my God, in 5 minutes, they're coming here. So you go into the bathroom, you wash your face 10 times in the coldest water. You brush your teeth to get rid of the smell of alcohol. You do everything. You put matchsticks in your eyes. You do everything. You dress well. You put perfume on your body. Everything to prepare. All the determination. You count steadily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they come in. And they say, hello. And you go, hello. Whoa. You can't. Can you do it? Can determination make you sober? It is not determination alone. Determination will work. It can be there. It has its own contribution. But insight, following through like we did today. I pointed something and you were present, and you were present in your presence, and something was allowed to see with the greatest ease. But I am here. I did nothing at all, actually. Just listen and find, but wait a minute. there exists that which is without effort. It was and is recognized. It is there. But can it be sustained? I said, but who is to sustain it? He said, yeah, there's nobody to sustain it. It is self-sustaining. Can it fade? No. It cannot fade. How can it fade? It is. Who are you? I'm that. How it can be? Okay. Good. I'll check back with you in a few hours. Yeah, you can check anytime you like. Hello, Buddha. Where are you? Where? Who's speaking now? Yeah, but I want to speak to the Buddha. Yeah, who are you? I'm close. It is not a feeling. It's not merely a feeling. It doesn't matter how many shadows are cast, how much subtlety there is, how much changes occur. It remains completely untouched. It doesn't rise and fall, neither expand nor contract. It doesn't grow old. It doesn't know heaven or hell. It and the dynamic extension, the sense I am, they are one, in fact. One you may call is a dynamic face of the Absolute. Sometimes I refer to that I am state as the child of the Absolute, or the Immaculate Conception, the first concept of the Supreme. Sometimes the lens of the Absolute, because through this feeling I am, a whole world came into play. And the root perceiving occurs through that instrument, the sense I exist, the voice of the true that says I am. That spiritual being, that sense of existence, that conscious presence, you can say. The way in which you are aware of yourself. It is not a man or a woman. It has no specific religion. It perceives, and perceive even through conditioning. It is perceiving the conditioned identity and its projections. Everything is in front of it somehow. But it cannot be shared out. It has to awaken to its own undiluted presence, unassociated being. And for that, the exercises, the practices come into play. It doesn't have to say, I am not this, I am not that. It will say it for a season, for a while. But when it's confirmed deeply, there will be no need for it to say that. It simply knows. You say, check again tomorrow.
Please.
But I'm checking now. Will tomorrow's result be better than tonight's? Still will check. This flower of jnana must open up. It must bloom fully. This flower of bhakti must bloom fully. They carry the same fragrance, and they are one. This flower of Kama Yoga must bloom fully, because they are one. Like whatever thing you do, you are not seeking reward for it. You understand?
Yes.
Your actions are purely out of love or out of service. Like what Seva was about, actually. Seva was Karma Yoga. Even I don't even like to use the word. Sometimes people say, yes, I want to do Seva. I thought, oh, please, no. Why you have to do anything? You know? Just show up and surrender yourself. It's not an exchange. You see? And there's a great beauty in that. A miracle is in that. Because as long as there's someone searching for benefit or, appreciation or so on, it seems pretty normal and natural thing. You see, it somehow becomes fuel for the ego or something. Sometimes people think, well, I'll choose one of the other ones because they seem easier. They're all similarly easy and similarly difficult.
But is it possible to be a mixture of everything?
Yes, actually, in the truth, you are everything. This is what I want to say, because if you say, like that, oh yes, I'm a karma yogi, I'm a jnana yogi, I'm into all this stuff. Actually, in sincere recognition, all flowers open. They're all open together in you. As the saying goes, he who seeks himself finds God, and he who seeks God finds himself. It's beautiful. Because without calling yourself, I am into jnana or bhakti or karma or whatever, without worrying about these terminologies and whatever, just being present inside your heart, offering yourself up for truth. And then automatically, even if you don't know which of these paths is mine, you can come. But something feels, yeah, I'm just here, and something just wants to find out. And you say, okay. Just say yes inside your heart to that. You say, which one? I don't know, just to all of them. And somehow you'll find your legs moving, it will take you someplace. By effort you cannot do it.
Is intuition the answer?
No. Intuition, in the way that I am hearing it, like that, I don't know if you understand what you are saying to say. Is intuition the answer? Understanding is very good, and continuously being immersed, being in the energy field of Satsang is weakening the resisting forces, thinning out the clouds of ignorance, identity, and so on. And then you just come spontaneously to know. You're just coming into this kind of spontaneous knowledge. You don't say, oh, it's that particular thing. Somehow something begins to speak to you in a way that you are not, you're not an expert at. Just somehow you begin to speak, and you understand that language, and it becomes clear. It seems like, my God, it's sort of, there's a great joy, because you feel like somehow you've learned a secret language into your own self. Like, my God, but it's, somehow I heard this and it just resonates here, but I don't know where it's going, but it feels very good. Like that. Slowly, like that. Your beingness is always the unassociated being. But something kind of believes on top of that in an identity, and then that brings in another kind of reading, and then you start to believe that this other reading is functionally, operationally you. Because even you say sometimes interacting with some other being, there is still that state of detachment, something there. But when perhaps they are in a stronger state of contextual identity, then something together merges in it, and gradually you come into that sort of duality or identity. It becomes hot, the temperature goes up in it or something. I am at this stage wanting to say all of this is not true. Right now, I'm kind of wanting to not really give so much to this and say, yeah, okay, because we can go into that, but I feel that we're going backwards a little bit into, again, analyzing the kind of like the mechanism of the mind and so on. And I just want to just, scrape it off the plate. Scrape it off the plate. Yeah? And then I don't even want to wash the plate. I want to throw the whole damn thing away, even the plate as well, in a sense, like this. And so it's like done, like done somehow, because I feel that we have the capacity here. We have the capacity, not only the potential. We have reached the level where we have the capacity to do this. There are some beings. We all have the potential, but not all have the capacity at the time to do that. Meaning that somehow, sometimes you try and try. People say, I'm trying. So you know what? Just relax, man. Because your efforts are not that. You see, you're going to become mental, you're going to get a headache. Relax, it's not this. But you have, because they have not reached their capacity to do this. The capacity is like a kind of grace. And grace is just also another name for ourselves in the form. But it's like there is a state of maturity, of evolution, you may call, whereby the satsangs can become more easy. They should become more easy. Everything becomes more easy. So if I say just kind of like, just don't worry, organic, not organic, plastic, something, just throw the whole thing away for a second. In this example, right? Not but like that, then you should immediately feel the expansiveness of this. Like, woof, yeah. Just throw that, because in this, all of it, in this example, is like still the functioning of the mind and still tiptoeing in the desert. Just throw it. Throw it completely. Like, have the courage. Throw everything completely. And then see what's wrong. You understand? Don't look, well, if this is right, maybe the next step might be right. Don't just throw everything out. And then see if the universe indicts you. Blames you or finds fault with you. At this stage. Because I feel there is sufficient space and openness to say these things, and maybe 75% gets through, and 25 or whatever is kind of like unsure. But it's a good percentage for this thing. Some 75% goes through, or 75% of the people, or 75% of the pointing goes through, or something goes through. And I say that it's okay, it's good. If I say to you, throw everything, we're not stock taking, okay? We're not stock taking, we're not cutting out, okay, this one. No, the whole lot, out. Reason why I say this, because when you've done this in your attitude, because you're not going there and we're taking numbers, just attitude of, okay, whoa, let it go. Then immediately you see that what's left is still here. What cannot be thrown is here. Throw everything else out. Throw everything then, if you can. Whatever it is that can be something alterable, intellect, memory, idea, identity, blah, 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 whoa. Then you find there's something that cannot be thrown. But you can't describe that. Because it has no shape, no size, no weight, no volume, no texture, no color, no gender, no agenda, nothing at all about it. Yeah. This is the purity. It cannot be thrown. By whom can it be thrown? Even the one who tries to throw is only an image, an idea arising in it momentarily. Maybe I'm saying too much to you right now. I can talk all these things to you because it's all different versions of the same thing. I don't know what is my place in this world where I would fit in into any part of it particularly. I don't know. Because clearly some parts are rendered quite useless actually for some things. There's no concern for that. I'm looking at the whole thing. I'm not looking at the conditioned world of my parents, my culture, my peers, people I went to school with. I'm not measuring myself and comparing with anybody. I'm not looking at the world in that way. I'm looking at the world as the whole theater of consciousness. I don't have to look at the world in terms of its commercial reality, its creativity, its art and poetry and all. I have to look at it. It's there. I see it, but it's not my vital world. My world is more the purity of consciousness, because I cannot converse anymore on those subjects for more than a minute or two. The other things, there's not sufficient interest to say that I'm a part of that world that's interesting to me or whatever it is. So that is not my world. A little bit you are my world, because I can converse with you and speak and go plunge deeply into this. What is real, what is true. To be in the real inner magicality of existence, the dance of consciousness. And just something is like this inside, this little rubbing like this of consciousness with itself all the time. That's all it's doing. Sometimes it is just doing this with itself all the time. It doesn't have to pay attention to. It's not doing that. Pay attention to all the other things. It just seems things spring up out of just this. Everything is springing out of. I don't know if it's springing out of this. But there's the only real. I don't know what to say about it. But it feels just something like this. And the consciousness is doing this with itself. It's just doing this with itself. I can't tell you more than that. But out of this, all satisfaction is in it. All joy is in it. All knowingness is in it, but there's no pride about that. The wisdom that arises out of that comes out of that. Everything comes out of this. That's all I can say. That I don't know if it can be said. I know. See, that's all it is. The vital force, the breath, the beating heart, thought, insight, intuition, the love, the wisdom, all is coming out of this. Something is doing just that. And the rest I don't know anything about. I don't care about the rest right now. I've cared long enough about the rest. Now I'm taking rest from the rest. And it is like that. Out of this subtle vibration, it's like every cell in my being is dancing in it. Joyously. And though so many things might be said or thought or whatever, in the end, none of it is sticking inside me. I'm not carrying it around, some rucksack of information about anything at all. By myself, or even with a sense of being in Satsang, I'm always exquisitely alone and in this full light of of that. Immense love is spun out of that, and appreciation of something. And there's even a gratitude for the taste of experiencing comes out of it. And after a while, I'm telling you this for your own sake, that all of what you are gets so established in this that when there's nobody to talk to about this, I don't know, maybe watch some football or something, or some program on TV, because I don't have to sit around thinking about this. The self doesn't have to be particularly spiritual. It doesn't know this term. It's spiritual. It is spirit. So therefore, everything that emanates out of it, shines out of it, is called spiritual, meanings of the spirit, and is the spirit. You see. So somehow, maybe our destinies are joined. Somehow, our karmas are linked. That we come together to talk about these things together, to share together, at least for a time, in this. But what you discover is timeless. And that we are that. Not that we are equal, but that we are one. Contemplate these things, because at a certain point, your contemplation comes to such a pitch that maybe you can't sleep, or your body means nothing at all. It has no weight. You have no birth, you have no death, you have no life. Even I don't know life. You have life. I don't know what it means. Yeah, don't have it. I am it. You are it. We are it. That. And this hunger to learn many things, it goes away. It's a very mischievous thing. Know the self, be the self. And the joy arising in you, inside you, will be that which confirms your truth. Not your mind. We have been together on the road long enough. Let's be together in the space, in that inner space. And don't seek for acceptance in this world. I don't think it's such a great thing. Don't be so quick to make enemies or anything in the world, but neither to be so quick to make so much friends even. Or to seek approval or even appreciation. Just be immersed in the self. Just be true.
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om